All right, that's enough. Hey, good morning. I don't know if this will be released in the morning or maybe in the afternoon sometime. Um, but I wanted to get on here and talk about something I saw online. So the question was, it's clearly from somebody that knows that they should learn music theory, but we're looking for, I don't know, someone to rationalize their thinking, right? So the question was something along the lines of, why should I learn music theory? Um, and I think that everybody should learn music theory because it certainly changed the way that I approach the instrument. Um, I've learned a ton of things along the way, and I keep learning things. And I don't think there's certain things that I couldn't have achieved. I don't think I could have achieved without music theory. Maybe I could have. And everyone that tells you that, oh, Eddie Van Halen didn't know music theory, they're lying. He did. There's no way. Jimi Hendrix too. There's no way that he just stumbled upon a lot of that stuff he was doing. Yeah, he had a great ear, and he didn't learn music theory maybe um, classically, I guess, or traditionally, but he knew the chords in a key. He knew the fundamentals, and that's all I'm talking about. So I want to give you 3 reasons that you should learn music theory. So hopefully when somebody enters this into Google or YouTube, they'll land here and I can convince you to learn music theory. However you learn it is entirely up to you. It doesn't matter, just as long as you learn it. And I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget. Number 1 is communication. So once you understand the structure of music, and that's really in my opinion, the foundation of music theory is basically the structure of music. Once you understand that, you're able to communicate much better. Um, Key signatures, tempo, um, subdivisions inside of notes, how long to carry notes, uh, chords in a key, what's available to you inside that chord extensions, all that stuff, right? You're able to communicate real time with your bandmates um, in a much more efficient way, right? And like I when I'm communicating, I'm never like, if I have to tell them what the chord is, like the name of the chord, I have to think about it, right? Where we can say, oh, we're going to do 1 4 6 5 in G. If everybody has a basic understanding of music theory, that's immediate. And then if you want to switch that to another key, go, let's do the same thing but in D. Everybody can transpose that in their head versus stopping and telling everybody what chord to play. So the communication is much easier. If you're on the wrong chord, somebody can look at you and just yell, play the 4, and you know where to go from there, or the minor 4, or whatever. Or if you're playing in a key and it's some sort of jam and somebody points to you, it's your turn, and you can improvise, you know what notes are available to you, right? That's another communication thing. Okay, it's your turn, and then you go and notes are available to you. And if you need to communicate something to somebody, chord progressions or tempo, 6/8, what that swing feels like, 4/4, whatever it is, foundationally, right? Song structures, I consider that part of music theory also. All that stuff, you'll be able to communicate better with your bandmates, without getting frustrated. Before I knew music theory, I would get frustrated when things would change and I didn't know where to go or what to do until I understood the foundation of music, and then I could make those changes on the fly. And they're not always perfect, but they're much better than they were when I didn't know what to do at all. 2, it's the way I view music theory is probably not what you think. I think a lot of people, when they think music theory, think, oh, I don't need to learn how to read music. And that is, to me, that is such a small part of music theory. I can read music, not quickly, but because I want to, not because I need to. I don't need to read music in order to play a song or play in a band or whatever. I just like to. I like to sometimes look at a sheet of music and know what key it is by looking at the accidentals on the staff, or understand what all the symbols mean. That's interesting to me, but you don't have to. Music theory, if I were to sum up music theory, it's understanding keys, time signatures and tempos, and scales, and then beyond that, it's like functions of chords, what sounds good together, subdominants and dominants, and tonic chords. How, I'm not going to go into it, how they relate together, how to substitute chords. I mean, you can get into some pretty wild stuff, and then chord extensions, like what sounds good here, what sounds good there, suspensions, that side. All of that, in my opinion, that's music theory. Song form, keys, scales in that key, possibly modes if you want to go that deep, but you don't have to. People rely too much on modes, and I think that's music theory. It's not. It's a part of it, but it's not as big as you think. You don't use half of those modes unless you're playing jazz or something else, or you choose to. Sometimes you choose to use those modes, and you're playing over the tune. You're like, well, I want to play Dorian here because I know that's what goes here, and it'll fit, and so on and so forth. So It's probably not what you think. It's more basic than that. It's basically just understanding how music works, not how to read it from a staff or sight read things where you feel like you have to spend hours and hours practicing things that you don't care about, you'll never use. That's not what music theory is. It's really just the foundation of how things connect together versus reading music. Or I'm trying to think of other things. People get caught up on modes, reading music, technical terms like counterpoints and chord alternate scales and all that other stuff. All that stuff is way advanced, and you don't even need to worry about that stuff. You could just learn the fundamentals that I just went over, and you'll be on your way. And you can stop there, and you would know enough to be able to communicate in a band, maybe write your own stuff, and knowing what things go together, how it why it sounds good together. That's the big thing about music theory is the why part. Like, why do these chords go together? Why does this sound good here? Why doesn't this sound good here? So you know what to avoid. That's a big part of it for me, is knowing what to avoid, because you know those things are going to clash. And fundamental music theory, you would learn that stuff and you would know that. And last is to find your voice. Now, you could totally have a voice on guitar or any other instrument without music theory. You don't need music theory to find your voice. But my playing really, really changed once I started to understand music theory. And when I started to play piano, when I learned piano, it really changed, because I was separate from this instrument on another instrument, but I was applying the same concepts, so that those concepts that I was applying on piano with my left hand playing bass and holding down roots, and my right hand playing melodies or partial chords, I was able to translate that to guitar, and that gave me this I don't know, I guess somewhat arpeggio voice or something. So I went from So I was able to mix things around like that because I understood where things were, and I understood how the notes of the chord and how they interacted with each other. And that kind of became my style. And that's my sound. And that's my voice. And when I play, that's kind of what I sound like. And I'm pretty good at sounding like me and pretty bad at sounding like other people. But I didn't really find that until I understood how things connected together, and then I could explore a little bit, find the way chords connected together, and find which notes I liked in those and which combination of notes. And it turns out I really, really like harmony, and I like to harmonize as I'm playing. Like, pick out notes that go well together and they harmonize well together, and let them ring out while I pick out bass notes, so on and so forth. The music theory is how I got there. So those are the three things: help you communicate better. It's not what you think, or not as hard as you think. It's definitely worthwhile. And third, I think you'll find a distinct voice that just was underneath, hidden, until music theory kind of brought that out and exposed it, and you'll be a much better player. And I can't wait to hear what you sound like once you learn that stuff. So that's all. Learn music theory. You'll be a better musician for it. See you.